Hello, welcome to Let's Talk Basketball. Today's video is going to be all about the first game of each series that were played last weekend. And as I talk about these teams, I'm going to try and display key stats and shooting splits as I talk about them. I'm not sure how long that's going to take, so if it takes too long, maybe I don't, but I guess we'll see. First game we're going to talk about is the Brooklyn Nets versus the Philadelphia 76ers. The game ended in Philadelphia's favor, ending 121 to 101. I'll go ahead and put the shooting splits for each team up on the screen now. As you can see, the Brooklyn Nets shot better from the field with even percentage from three, but the overwhelming amount of shots that the Philadelphia 76ers took outweighed that percentage difference. The 76ers actually made almost as many threes as Brooklyn Nets took. But with that being said, I feel like one of the main disadvantages Brooklyn runs into pretty early is their overall offensive engine feels a lot like it's running through two guys, while the 76ers kind of feel like they're much more diverse in how they can attack the basket, how they can shoot. It also feels like the 76ers are a lot more open to playing people that wouldn't necessarily play a ton of minutes. As a really good example, the Brooklyn Nets are only playing Cam Thomas, who has shown that he can be a 40-point scorer 3 nights in a row if given the opportunities and the touches. They only played him 4 minutes, and all of those minutes were in garbage time. But other than the offensive deficiencies, I would say that some of the key team stats that kind of helped decide this game were offensive rebounds, steals, and turnovers. And I'll go ahead and put them up on the screen. But as you can see, all of these stats lean heavily in the 76ers' favor, with them having almost triple the amount of offensive rebounds, almost 5 times the amount of steals, and less than half the amount of turnovers. I would say this game actually ended up being a lot closer than some people would have thought initially, and I say that as it's a 20-point deficit for the Brooklyn Nets, but a lot of that didn't really come until the fourth quarter. It was a 5-point deficit, 4-point deficit, and 3-point deficit within the first quarters respectively, but it never really felt like the Brooklyn Nets were really out of the game until the fourth quarter came, and that's when it kind of heated up a little bit, and they kind of took out some of their players. As I'm shooting this, I'm watching game 2, and it seems to be kind of following the same pattern, but still pretty close. All right, the second game I'm going to talk about is kind of a stinker, so I may not spend a lot of time on it. I'll go ahead and put the shooting splits up on the screen, and as you can see, the Hawks really didn't shoot well at all from the field or three-point percentage. This game ended 99 Hawks, 112 Celtics, but the score actually doesn't really reflect how the game was played. At one point, the Hawks were down 30 points. Other than pointing out that Trae Young had a really stinker of a game and that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum both came out and had a 20-point game, with Derek White also having a 20-plus game, I think that's as much time as I'm going to give them, just because this game really wasn't really that great. I mean, the Hawks were outscored by 10 in the first quarter and 20 in the second quarter. This is one of the two games that I would say really reflected the standings, being that this is a 2nd versus 7th matchup, and it really looked like a 2nd versus 7th matchup. The third game I'm going to talk about is the New York Knicks versus the Cavaliers, and this game was actually really good, came down to the wire, and actually was an upset. The Knicks managed to win on the road, the ending score being 101 Knicks to 97 Cavaliers. Both teams shot similarly, both from the field and from three-pointers, with the real edge being in the overall rebounds. The New York Knicks had 51 rebounds to the Cavaliers' 38. This game was kind of a battle of guards, with Jalen Brunson dropping 27 points and Donovan Mitchell dropping 38. Both of these teams almost feel like a similar mix of play style, with both teams having 2 large bigs on the floor at all times, with Randall and Robinson and Mobley and Allen. They also have similar guards, the main difference being Jalen Brunson typically is an engine for the offense, while Donovan Mitchell typically is the offense. A key player I wanted to shout out on the Knicks is just Josh Hart. Josh Hart played insanely well with 17 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists. It's kind of felt like ever since he got traded, he's kind of just expanded his game. He's been scoring better, he's been scoring more, he's been shooting more effectively, and it feels like he's really one of those key players that comes in and just gives a lot of heart. Sorry if that felt short, but I really just kind of wanted to get to this game. This game was the best by far of the night, and probably one of the best games played out of the entire playoffs so far. Now this is the reigning champs versus the Kings, with their first playoff appearance in 16 and a half years. And I don't know if you've seen any videos of Sacramento or the arena, but Sacramento did not play. They showed up in droves, When the front doors opened, they sprinted into the building. The Sacramento Kings have probably been one of the funnest teams to watch throughout the regular season and into the playoffs, just because they feel really young and feel like they have a ton of heart and a ton of passion poured into their gameplay. And I would say the main contributor to that would be De'Aaron Fox. And De'Aaron Fox, in his first game this playoff, did not disappoint. Also, before I get too far, here's the shooting splits of each team. And as you can see, it's really close, with actually the Kings taking the edge in the three-point percentage, which I feel like probably shouldn't happen with just the absolute depth and three-point shooters you have on the Warriors. One of the key team stats that I feel like really contributed to this would be overall rebounds, with the Kings taking the edge in total rebounds and offensive rebounds. Okay, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I kind of want to put the point breakdown per quarter on the screen for this one, just because it was so close. It really felt like key players on each team were just trading blow for blow, shot for shot, with one of the key contributors being De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk contributing towards 70 points out of the 126 the Sacramento Kings total scored. This game was just fantastic from start to finish. It really feels like you cannot count the Kings out, and I know going into this, you may expect the Warriors to lose the away games just because their regular season record was so bad, and that's kind of how I thought about it. I initially predicted that the Sacramento Kings would win this series just because it is difficult to come back from an 0-2 start, and that's what I expected from the Warriors coming into an away game. As a comparison, the Warriors are 11-30 on away games, and the Sacramento Kings are 23-18 on home. Now, all that isn't to say that the Warriors just did not play well. The Warriors played extremely well. Now, there were some iffy three-point shots from Steph and from Clay, but that's kind of expected. I will say it was good seeing Andrew Wiggins back in the lineup. All right, so I ended up only doing the first 4 games of the weekend just because there were so many games to talk about, and I'm probably still going to get to the second day of games, maybe not, with it being so many days past when it happened, but I guess we'll see. Thank you for watching if you did, and I should have a video coming out maybe later this week or early next week. See you.